Hi, in this one we're going to be looking at the if, elif and else construct. So this construct or this structure in programming basically helps us write conditional statements with the conditions that we just learned in the previous lessons and actually help our programs make the decisions and execute code after making certain decisions. So enough about the introduction, let's just actually get into it. So, first off, as you see on the screen, the syntax of if-else. So before you learn any kind of construct in programming, you need to know the syntax of that particular construct or that structure that you'll be working with while you program. The syntax is nothing but a way or the rules to write a particular thing when you code. So these are the rules to write the if-else construct. Now, the first thing you do is you write the keyword if, which belongs to Python, and that's why I call it a keyword. So you write if, followed by your condition. So that could be anything like A is greater than B, B is less than C, and D is equal to 10, anything like that, right? Just a condition that you build. And if that condition is true, only then the code that is inside your if statement after the colon at the top will be executed. So as you can see on your screen, it says if your condition followed by a colon, which is a part of the syntax. So it's very important to put the colon, which tells your program that, all right, you're writing an if-else construct, and well, right after the colon, on the next line, you're going to have the code that's going to be executed if the condition of your if statement is true. Next, if the condition of your if statement is false, then you still want your program to do something, right? So like we saw in the last one, when you were planning to buy this blue t-shirt, if the t-shirt is not blue, that is the condition of t-shirt color equal to blue is false, then you don't want to buy it, right? So that's where the else statement comes in. So in the else statement, you basically do not have a condition. The else block is something that executes if all of the conditions in your if block are, well, false. So the else block executes if all of the conditions in your if block are false, and that is just code that you want to write which does something if something doesn't happen or something doesn't hold true. In this case, the something is your condition. So just for an example, you can see on your screen, if the number 10 or the integer 10 is greater than or equal to 20, then print the string 10 is greater than 20. Else print 20 is greater than 10. So how's this going to work? First off, your program looks at the condition. In this case, the condition is 10 is greater than or equal to 20. Neither is 10 greater than 20, nor is 10 equal to 20. So in this case, the condition is false. And since the condition is false, your program is directly going to jump onto the else block, which simply prints 20 is greater than 10. It's pretty simple. Let's move on to the next level, which is if, elif, else. So in your programs, you might want to have multiple conditions, right? So for example, let's say you go for shirt shopping and it's like, all right, if I don't get a blue t-shirt, I'm okay with buying like a black t-shirt or maybe a purple t-shirt, right? So you could check like this. You could basically just say if the t-shirt is blue, then buy the t-shirt. Else if the t-shirt is black, then buy the t-shirt. Else if the t-shirt is like purple, buy the t-shirt. Else just don't buy the t-shirt. So if you've got only these three colors, then buy the t-shirt. Otherwise, just don't buy the t-shirt, right? So let's take a look at what the if, elif, else construct is all about. So just like we saw earlier, if, and you have your first condition. So in this case, we could assume that if t-shirt color equals blue, then buy the blue t-shirt. That could be the code that's executed if the first condition is true. But let's say the t-shirt is not blue and that makes the first condition false. Then you have your elif block. Elif basically stands for else if, right? So elif, the elif block holds the second condition. So if the first condition is false, then your program moves to the first elif block. So in the elif block, you see that there's another condition. So this could be elif t-shirt color equals purple. So in this case, code to be executed if condition 1 is false and condition 2 is true. So let's say the t-shirt is purple, then the code inside the first elif block will be executed. But you know what? If it is again not true, which means that let's say condition 2 is false, what happens then? Nothing. You go to condition 3, the next elif block that you would write. So let's say condition 3 is that if t-shirt color equals black, right? If that's true, then execute something. But let's say all of the three conditions are false, right? Let's say all condition 1, condition 2, and condition 3, all of these conditions are false. What happens then? Nothing. You just have an else block that you write, which basically executes some code if all of the conditions are false. So in this case, this is the if-elif-else construct. Let's take a look at an example. So in this case, you can see that the first condition in our if block is if 10 is greater than 20. We very well know that this condition is false. So if false, it's directly going to go on to the next elif block. So elif 10 equals 20. Is 10 equal to 20? It's not, right? So that's false as well. Therefore, your program will finally go on to the else block and print 20 is greater than 10, because both of your conditions, the if condition and the elif condition, both of them are false, and therefore your program is really not going to execute the code that is inside the if and the elif statement, and so it's just going to go to the else block and execute whatever is written inside the else block. Now there's a couple of things that you need to note before we start actually diving deeper into the concept of if, elif, and else. There's just three small points that are just fundamentals and basics. So the first thing is the else block cannot exist without an if block. The elif block cannot exist without an if block. And finally, the if block can independently exist without an else or elif block. Wait, that could be a little confusing. Let's take some examples. So for the first one, where an else block cannot exist without an if block, it basically means that you can't just write an else and then some code, because there's no condition, there's no if condition before the else to, do something else if something's false, right? So you just can't write an else without an if. Next, you can't just write an elif block independently. It doesn't make sense, right? You need an if condition to be false to actually go to your else if or elif condition, right? So if the t-shirt's not blue, skip to the next condition, which is else if t-shirt is black, then do something, right? So if you don't have an if block, then well, you can't have an else if block, and obviously also not an else block. And finally, an if block can be independent, or it can exist independently. This basically means that you could just have if some kind of a condition and then some code that is executed if the condition is true. It does not need the else or the elif block, and we'll actually be using a bunch of these ahead in our course when we're doing our projects, so hang on for that. And that was pretty much for this one, for the theory of if, elif, and else. Now it's time to actually get our hands dirty with the coding that we do, or actually by writing conditional statements in our program using the if, elif, else construct. So I'll see you there. Just open up PyCharm for the next one. Be ready. If you've got any questions, just put them down in the comments as usual, and my team or I will help you out as soon as possible with the best answer. Until then, just have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.